So again, our goal is to provide the user the ability to control the computer as well as I can, and hopefully better. And that means that they can do it at the same speed as what I can do. It means that they have access to all the same functionality that I have, including all those little details like command tab, command space, all this stuff. They need to be able to do it with their brain, and with the same level of reliability as what I can do with my muscles. And that's a high bar. And so we intend to measure and quantify every aspect of that to understand how we're progressing towards that goal. There's many ways to measure BPS, by the way. This isn't the only way, but we present the user a grid of targets, and basically we compute a score, which is dependent on how fast and accurately they can select, and then how small are the targets. And the more targets that are on the screen, the smaller they are, the more information you present per click. And so if you think about it from an information theory point of view, you can communicate across different information theoretic channels. And one such channel is a typing interface, you could imagine, that's built out of a grid, just like a software keyboard on the screen. And bits per second is a measure that's computed by taking the log of the number of targets on the screen. You can subtract 1 if you care to model a keyboard, because you have to subtract 1 for the delete key on the keyboard. But log of the number of targets on the screen times the number of correct selections minus incorrect, divided by some time window, for example, 60 seconds. And that's sort of the standard way to measure a cursor control task in academia. And all credit in the world goes to this great professor, Dr. Shenoy of Stanford, who came up with that task. And he's also one of my inspirations for being in the field. So all the credit in the world to him for coming up with a standardized metric to facilitate this kind of bragging rights that we have now to say that Nolan is the best in the world at this task with his BCI. It's very important for progress that you have standardized metrics that people can compare across different techniques and approaches. How well does this do? So yeah, big kudos to him and to all the team at Stanford. So for Nolan and for me playing this task, there's also different modes that you can configure this task. So the WebGrid task can be presented as just sort of a left click on the screen, or you could have targets that you just dwell over, or you could have targets that you right click on. You could have targets that are left, right click, middle click, scrolling, clicking and dragging. You can do all sorts of things within this general framework. But the simplest, purest form is just blue targets show up on the screen. Blue means left click. That's the simplest form of the game. And the sort of prior records here in academic work and at Neuralink internally with sort of NHPs have all been matched or beaten by Nolan with his Neuralink device. So sort of prior to Neuralink, the sort of world record for a human using the device is somewhere between 4.2 to 4.6 BPS, depending on exactly what paper you read and how you interpret it. Nolan's current record is 8.5 BPS. And again, the sort of median Neuralinker performance is 10 BPS. So you can think of it roughly as he's 85% the level of control of a median Neuralinker using their cursor to select blue targets on the screen. And I think there's a very interesting journey ahead to get us to that same level of 10 BPS performance. It's not the case that sort of the tricks that got us from 4 to 6 BPS and then 6 to 8 BPS are going to be the ones that get us from 8 to 10. And in my view, the core challenge here is really the labeling problem. It's how do you understand at a very, very fine resolution what the user is attempting to do. And I highly encourage folks in academia to work on this problem.
What's the journey with Nolan on that quest of increasing the BPS on WebGrid? In March, you said that he selected 89,285 targets in WebGrid.
Yep.
So he loves this game.